Philly F.A.M.E. Philly F.A.M.E.
So now let's get fast forward. So that was Silverback 1. Let's get to Silverback 2. This one, the situation with LP kicks off. We got a little situation with LP. Nah, I mean, like, so this started over, I believe this was on like MySpace or some shit like that, or Facebook, or one of them platforms. This was like 2009, 2010, because the Cicero controversy was like 2009. So later on that year, or maybe next year, 2010, the LP shit, it was about like Meek was having a music video or something like that, and LP had reached out to him like, yo, I got some chicks for you or something like that. Trying, I mean, like, let him know you got some chicks for the video, whatever the case may be. And I think he said Meek didn't respond or get back at him, or he didn't like how Meek responded, or whatever the case may be. And then eventually he started talking throwing a little shit back and forth. It was on social media, I believe. They started like talking shit back and forth on some comments and shit like that about the video. And then from there, it became a thing. Then LP pretty much did some blogs and shit about it, and he was explaining how like yeah, he was trying to do a video and he was trying to get Meek some girls because he felt like the last girls in Meek video wasn't like that, so he was trying to get him some girls or some shit like that. It just was a little small situation that spiraled into some back and forth shit, and LP really going at Meek and talking crazy to Meek and talking crazy about Meek, and they even dropped some diss songs, I think. So how I get in the middle of this and how this situation get crazy is, you know, we got a relationship with LP. Cool, LP, you know, he been around, you know, go back with LP. Him and H battled before, and then they got cool. I mean, so LP been around forever. So, you know, we in the mix with all of that. We cool with everybody. So at the time we filming for Silverback season, quick story, prior to Silverback season, Bananas was just like rapping. We always excluded the drama, excluded the beef. Never really wanted to promote that. Just was like promoting the rap shit, but Headshots were promoting the beef and everybody was with it. Everybody was flocking to that. So at some point when the Silverback season shit came around, we just like, fuck it. Like, everybody in the city beefing, Meek and them beefing, all these people beefing. So we just said, fuck it. We ain't going to withhold it. We just going to let it be. So fast forward, that's how we come with the Silverback 1 with the Cicero controversy and Meek and Joey Jihad and Corley going talking to Meek shit. Silverback 2, LP going through with Meek. We just so happened to get LP on the drum. I mean, because he our folks, he our guy, and at this time, he just so happened to be going at Meek. So instead of us, withholding the footage, we ended up, you know, just putting out whatever he said. Now, we wasn't agitating the situation, we wasn't aggravating, we wasn't inciting it or egging it on. This just what was happening at the time, and we was documenting. So when we filmed him, he had said some crazy shit about Meek. He was going at Meek, like, pretty much like, Meek a pussy hill, what it would be like. I mean, just some rap shit. Like, he don't really want to do that in the street. He was talking like that on the joint. So, long story short, was about to put out Silverback 2, like we was doing with all our DVDs at this time. I mean, we was putting out little trailers to the DVD. I mean, and at this time, Meek had came home from jail. When he had came home from jail, he had made a Facebook page. You know, I was on Facebook early, one of them early Facebook niggas was popping, because Facebook was for college students early. Then they let everybody else on. I mean, so I was one of the people who had a lot of friends and stuff early on. So long story short, when Meek came home, he had made a Facebook page. I saw him, came up with my suggestion joints. I added him. So me and him was Facebook friends. I mean, like on the joint. So at the time where I did this trailer, the Silverback season trailer, all the trailers, I posted Meek and see it and all that. But this particular one, Silverback season 2, I had put a portion of what LP said on the trailer.
Just to diss Meek, because Meek's a pussy. He don't want it with me.
Obviously to hype this shit up. I ain't have no problem with Meek. Obviously, I ain't had nothing to do with it. It was just what was going on at that time. I knew niggas would pay attention. I knew it was up. But I ain't anticipate what was going to come next. So I posted a clip of the trailer on Facebook. On all the platforms, but on Facebook, that's where it went down there. I posted shit on Facebook. And mind you, at the time, I skipped this part, but I believe Meek gets down with MMG at this time. This early at this time, I think he get down with him. I'll touch more on that story a little bit later, but this a little bit early on that time. I mean, so when I post the trailer, Meek comments on it. I mean, he comments on it like, I mean, some shit like, yo, bro, why you got this nigga on here talking like crazy about me, like, I mean, like, and he start commenting multiple comments, like, and one of the comments I think he said was, I mean, we get money and we kill niggas that cross us or some shit like that, like, so Meek was going, like, commenting a couple times on this trailer. And it made other niggas start commenting, like Joey Jahaz start commenting, like all these people, like all these different people in the city start commenting. So matter of fact, I don't think he got signed with Ross yet. I think he was on his way to get signed. Cause I think shortly after that he might have got signed, and then eventually he had went back, or somebody else who was cleaning up his social media had went back and deleted some of them comments. I believe some of his comments still was on there, but some of the crazy shit he's saying got deleted. Like, we get money and kill niggas that cross us, and all this other shit. So I don't know if he deleted it or somebody else, I mean, got control of the page and deleted it. But he definitely felt some type of way about that. And that led to him calling me. Either he sent me a DM and told me to call him, or sent me his number, or I had his number, whatever the case may be. It ended up with me and him on the phone, and he like, yo, bro, you got niggas on there talking crazy about me and all that, like, you know, won't you come get my side, like, and I'm like, yeah, like, for sure, you already need, like, yeah, I'm having a listen party. I think it was the same day. He's like, I'm having a listen party tonight. This was for Flamers 3 mixtape. That's a joint he had with DJ Drama. So yeah, he wasn't with MMG just yet. I mean, but he was on his way, because it's a joint. He next up, the Flamers 3, the next level up. Like I say, got DJ Drama. This is time DJ Drama, and this, I mean, like, in this prime. I mean, and it's crazy too. That stuff with DJ Drama happened later, but you know, the origin of the relationship was crazy. Like, so he doing that tape. So he doing a little mixtape release party down like north at the joint. I forget the name they was calling it at the time, but a lot of people should do events at this joint down Cecil B. Moore. So he's having it there. He said, yeah, slide through the night, bro. Come get me. I mean, get my side, or whatever the case may be. So he was a little aggressive and angry at me a little bit, but it wasn't on no shit. I mean, it was like, he's more so mad at them, what they were saying, and he wanted to respond to it. So me and Face go down that joint, grab some shirts with us, DVD, grab the camera, we slide down that joint, I mean, get right in. So at the time we go in there, he planned like they planned some of the songs from the tape, and he rapping them like he on stage. He can eventually get on stage and like start rapping to him and shit. So once he do that, we start filming and shit. So he get on stage. You know, Breezy Begets was there. He was on stage with Old Melly. They was talking a little shit and all that, because they was locked up together. So that's how they knew each other and shit. I mean, Breezy Begets from OBH and Old Melly. So they was on stage talking, doing their shit. He started rapping over his shit. And then one of the songs he's rapping on, he was going directly at them in the song, like niggas that he was beefing with this, but he ain't say the names, but I believe he was talking about Hattie, Quilly. He might have even been talking about LP in the joint, like, I mean, I don't know, like, but it was subliminal shots. I ain't see nobody's name. But once he got to the part where he was going at him, he got right into the camera, I mean, and start rapping. I mean, rapping in the camera, like directing what he was saying to whoever he was talking about in the camera. I mean, so he's basically saying 2012 for these rappers, put an end to them. Scorpios and Mortal Kombat, finish them. These niggas is dead. I mean, niggas is dead. Silverback, these niggas is dead. I mean, they start going in the next verse, and he was pretty much directing it towards them. Like, so this was his way of responding to them. I mean, niggas that was talking shit, he popping this shit, he leveling up. I mean, like, he doing him. So I believe that was Silverback, not Silverback, Flamers 3 mixtape. I mean, that tape took him, I mean, to a whole nother level. Like, cause on that tape he had the Rose Red joint, I think. I mean, the Rose Red was on that joint. And the Make 'Em Say joint, I believe. No, Make 'Em Say might have been Flamers 2. Or it might have been Flamers 3. Yeah, Flamers 3 might have been Make 'Em Say. I think Make 'Em Say was Flamers 3 because I believe that charted on the Billboard Top 200. I mean, as an independent artist, like, I mean, he didn't have a deal at the time. He just was lit on the Charlie Mack label, 215 was affiliated. I mean, but he ended up being a part of that. So that's kind of what he was on. Like I said, the situation with Tip fell through. I mean, when he went to jail and Tip went to jail, so at the time he was trying to find the right situation, so he wasn't rushing no deal and all that. I mean, but he was wavy, bro. Like, and then that was like 2010, I want to say, and then fast forward to 2011. I mean, that's when he ended up signing with Ross after, you know, he met him. You know, Ross came to the city. I mean, was doing Power 99 Cosmic Cab, and he was asking, I think on Twitter, like, yo, what artist should I collab with, do something with, and everybody was hitting him up talking about Meek. Everybody talking about Meek. And then Meek had the Rose Red song at the time, so he had pulled up. I think Cosmic Cab might have called him down to the radio station. He had pulled up on Ross, met him and all that. Then eventually Ross jumped on that Rose Red remix, y'all. And that was crazy lit. I mean, major artists like that who was wavy at the time jump on your shit like that. Because Rose Red was buzzing at the time. It was popping. It was spinning crazy on the radio. And then Ross jump on that shit. The next thing you know, they come with the I'm a Boss, y'all. And Meek was gone from there, bro. Signed with, I mean, Meek was going from there. That's where the Meek Mill story, as far as him getting on, that's where it all started. So I know I skipped some stuff. I might have jumped over a few things. I might have, you know, forgot to mention a few things. But you know, that whole story was a long story for him to get to that point. I mean, it was a lot of stuff he had to overcome, a lot of stuff he dealt with, a lot of stuff he went through. I mean, to get to that point. But one thing I'm going to jump back to and touch on, I mean, from his early years that I definitely skipped over, was this Drew Major DVD that I did. I mean, now Drew Major was a part of Meek early come up. He was the guy, I mean, that was filming a lot of the early run as far as Bloodhounds, when Meek was in South Philly. I mean, running around with the Bloodhounds and he was getting wavy on the headshots and all that. Drew Major was documenting a lot of that. He was the cameraman. He knew Meek from, you know, when he was out South Philly and all that. He used to hang around all of them. He was a part of the clique. So he was documenting a lot of this stuff. So he had filmed a lot of this footage with them, like just chilling on the block. Random shit happening. Some of the stuff he posted on his YouTube channel, Major Films. So some of Meek early videos that went viral, he filmed them. From some of the battles and some of them freestyles, he filmed them. So some of the stuff on his channel, but some of the stuff not. It was on this DVD. I don't know why he ain't never I mean, put some of that stuff on YouTube. He probably didn't figure the technology out yet, but he had filmed, like, I'm talking about, they got footage of these niggas running a train on a little groupie joint and all that. I mean, he had all types of footage of them, Meek, I mean, going through stuff and all of that. Like, so I had all of these tapes with all of this early Meek footage at this time. This was probably like 2008 maybe. Like, so this a couple years before he got signed probably. I mean, Drew Mage came to me with these tapes like, yo bro, I need you to make me a DVD. I'm trying to put a DVD out. I mean, I got all this footage, you know what I mean? I just want to make a DVD. So I pretty much put the DVD together for him with all the footage that you wanted. Obviously, I used the footage with them, you know, running the trade on the shorty and all that, but I used a lot of the other footage they had in the hood and all that. So I was seeing all this early footage with Meek and what they was doing and how they was carrying it when he was a young boy running around in South Philly and all of that. So I put the DVD out. So he had way more tapes, I mean, than you needed for that DVD. So he had so much more footage that didn't get used that could be used for another DVD. So after I finished the first DVD, he's like, alright, but we're gonna do another joint. Pretty much, I mean, once he get himself situated and get shit together, he gonna, you know, get with me to do the second joint. And crazy, cause fast forward for years he never did that shit. Like, so I had all this footage, all this old Meek classic footage for years. So mind you, fast forward, he signed. He down with MMG. I mean, he doing this thing. I mean, I'll get a little bit to that story, but as soon as he gets signed, all that, I still had the footage. And I never did, and I had it for years. I mean, then finally, like, I'm talking about recent years, probably like maybe, like, I can't even tell you the year, but it was like not that many years ago where he finally reached out and got the footage back from asking me, like, yo, bro, you got that footage? And I could have been on some snipey slick stuff because it was so many years later, but I'm like, no, I fuck with you, Meek. She always was cool, he always was thorough, and we always had a good relationship. And then from me giving him that footage back, I mean, I don't know what he did with it because I never seen, like I said, never seen it on YouTube and that, so I don't know what he did with it, but I mean, he always honored me from that because I could have snaked him, I could have put some of that footage out, I could have leaked some of that footage, but I always felt like that wasn't my footage, so I ain't want to, you know, I ain't want to do, but I had all this Meek shit, bro, like all this unreleased, never seen before, I mean, like, and I don't know what he ever did with it because I never seen it since, I mean, so now let's get back to when he signed with Ross and all that, like, so this is 2011. So at this time, like I said, we had the clothing line and all of that, and we ended up eventually getting the clothing line at Sneaker Villa. We was launching it in Sneaker Villa, like they able to get a little deal with the Villa and all that, and get our Jones in the Villa. And at this time, Meek started, you know, with the Dream Chasers wave. When he first got down with Ross, started his Dream Chasers wave, and he had some Dream Chasers shirts, know what I mean? So he had some Dream Chaser shirts and Sneaker Villa. So he was the only other person from Sneaker Villa, from Philly, that had any type of clothing or whatever at all in Sneaker Villa. Nobody else. And then we came along, so he just had Dream Chaser shirts. We had an official clothing line, so we was like the first people with a clothing line in Sneaker Villa. I mean, so at that time we was doing a launch, we was doing a little promo joint. So you know we had a relationship with all the rappers, so we was getting all the different rappers that like shout us out and let niggas know to go to Sneaker Villa and cop up. So we had did a little blog. We got Gilly, I mean all types of people on that joint. I mean who was popping at the time, and one of the people that was able to get was Meek. He had just got down with Ross. I mean, he was wavy, but he still was coming down the Batcave at the time. So I didn't know he was there. We just was, we was just going down there at the time because that's how we had got Gil and a couple other people. We just went down the Batcave and seen them. You know, we used to go down there anyway on a regular. Sometimes we was recording, sometimes we just go down there, holler at niggas, network, get footage, whatever. So this particular day, we just go down there and Meek in there. I don't know if he was recording or he's about to record. Yeah, he was about to record. He's in the middle of recording. So I just walk in the room, the door closed, I walk in the room, I didn't know he was in there, I didn't know nobody's in there, I just walk in there, they playing some music and he in there and shit, I got the camera with me and shit, so I'm like, oh shit, so I step out the room, because I didn't mean to, you know, interrupt his drawing and shit, so I just walk out the room and shit, go out in the hallway. I think it might have been a couple people out in the hallway, so I just was outside talking to them and shit. So then he comes out the studio room and come out in the hallway where everybody else had. You remember the Batcave, John, when they had it. Then you know how the hallway, how the joint set up. So he came out in the hallway. I think he asked me like, yo, what you doing? What you filming for? Or something like that. Either he asked me what I was filming for, or I asked him. Like, I can't remember how it went. But long story short, I ended up telling him like, yeah, we doing this this shit for the Sneaker Villa joint. Give us a little shout out for this shit. Know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, no problem. Like, I think he said once I'm done, what I'm doing, I got you, or some shit like that. Like, and then he finished up whatever he was doing. Then he did it. I think he said, come in the room. Come in the room, in the studio room, or whatever. And got on the camera. I forgot who I had with me filming this shit. So I had somebody with me filming it. And then he gave me the drop, shouted it out. Shouted my shit out, and he shouted out. I told him he could shout out his shit too. Like, and he shouted out his shit too.
Boy, Meek Millie, right here checking in live from Philly. Make sure you go there, grab that Super Fly Boys gear, that Dream Chaser straight from the Villa. You already know Philly in the building, MMG. And make sure you go download that Dream Chasers off thatpiv.com. We in the building. Let's get it.
And that was love, because like I said, he was on at the time. I ain't seen him in a little minute, since the last DVD joint we did, the blog joint we did at his release party. And like I said, it was a little tension from that, because I know he felt some type of way about me putting LP on there and all that, talking about him crazy, but he ain't never really hold that against me or against us, nothing crazy, because he still did the joint right after that. I mean, so I always respected him for that. Like, I always had high respect and honor for him for that, because he ain't had to do that, but that was major. He just got on, he lit, and he shouting out our shit, know what I mean, in the villa and all that. Like, that was a big look, so I always appreciated him and honored him for that, know what I mean. Now we're going to take a quick commercial break, give y'all a word from one of our local sponsors. This episode of Philly Fame TV is brought to you by 1212 plant-based hair care products. These products are good for men and women and best used in barbershops and hair salons. You could pick up some 1212 products at Hair Buzz and Hairtown in Philadelphia. Also shop online, 12haircare.com for all deliveries. Now back to regular scheduled programming. Now let's touch a little bit on this when he got signed and all that. I mean, his early MMG Dream Chasers weave. Now, I didn't hear this myself, but I think I did an interview with somebody, or somebody told me this off camera. I don't know if it was, I don't even want to say who, because I don't want to put nobody out there, but they had said, like, when Meek got signed, he had got on the radio and said that he was going to come back and sign niggas. He's gonna sign niggas like Cray and start naming all these different DVD niggas, saying he's gonna sign niggas. Like I said, I didn't hear it myself, but somebody had told me that, and they was like, that was weird. I mean, one of the rappers he named had told me that pretty much. So now let's touch on this Vodka situation. I mean, because that's where, I mean, the discrepancy with Vodka and shit come in there. Not discrepancy, but at this time, like when he was on early, Vodka was in the studio with him. There's some footage that got posted on whatever platforms pop. I don't know if it was Instagram yet. It might have been Twitter, Facebook, something. Like, it got posted like Vodka was either in the studio or in the crib or something with Meek and them, and he was rapping and shit going in, and they was pretty much stamping him and co-signing him, and niggas was saying that he's supposed to be down with Dream Chasers, and the whole city was celebrating and hyping shit, like. Because Vok been a legend, Vok been a lot of niggas' favorites for a long time, especially at that time. So a lot of people was happy and excited to see, like, damn, Vok won't be down. So that was a big buzz at the time in the city. But I mean, unfortunately, that shit never panned out. I mean, and Vok never badmouthed him or nothing about it. I forget exactly what the story was or whatever case may be, how it went according to Vodka, but he ain't never really say too much about it. I guess it just didn't. The timing wasn't right. Shit just didn't work out like at the time, you know what I mean? But so this might have been like I said, he got on in 2011, so it might have been like sometime after that, shortly after that. It wasn't that long. He ain't been on that long before that situation happened, if I ain't mistaken. I mean, so let's jump forward a little bit. Like I said, I might be off on the timeline slightly a little bit, but I know all this stuff go around the same time, you know what I mean? So the Dreams and Nightmares joint dropped in 2012, I believe. That was a legendary moment. I mean, his album. I mean, but prior to that, I believe he dropped the Dream Chasers project first, when he first got down with MMJ. And that's the joint where he had the song with NH, The Realest Shit You Ever Seen. I mean, I believe, that was on that project, and that was another moment the city was celebrating, like, oh shit, cause you got NH on the joint. So you first had the Vodka joint, then you had the NH joint, so a lot of people was celebrating. Damn, like, they supposed to have a video, cause they had put like a little trailer joint, a little snippet joint, I believe it was on World Star, with the song playing, and it was like showing like shots in the strip club and all that, and you could hear, Meek verse, and then you could hear NH verse. So a lot of people was anticipating a video, but it never happened. And according to NH, like he kind of speculated, like maybe, the powers that be that's higher up than Meek, didn't want to, green light nothing like that. And that would make sense. Like, Meek was throwing his homie a lookout, and they probably didn't want back there, because NH just a local guy, and Meek a new artist. So, but it was a good look either way, just him putting him on that tape, period. Like, that was a great look, so that was another, nice little oop from Meek that he did try, get niggas, from the city, from his era that he came up with, especially NH, because NH grew up together pretty much.
Alright, like I was talking to Meek before that. I was talking to him before that, before we sort of do the video or whatever. So you gotta think, Meek got higher powers over him. He not the boss. I mean, everybody got a boss or somebody higher in power than them. So maybe they didn't condone or feel as though that the video should have been what was happening. They probably started it and I wasn't there in time or whatever the situation may be. But like, the relationship with Meek is like, I grew up with Meek. I'm from Burke Street. Meek from Burke Street. You know what I mean? Like, first niggas I rapped with was Meek Mills in the basement at my man crib. I mean, that was the first niggas I was rapping with. You know what I mean? I talked to him last night. You know what I mean? So it's like, that shit ain't about nothing. I mean, he still, you know what I mean? I'm grateful for the opportunity that he put me on the CD. It wasn't, the only Philly niggas that was on the CD was me and Young Chris. Besides that, I think he had like Yo Gotti and all those other, the industry guys, you know what I mean? So I was just happy that he gave me a win break, you know what I mean? Like, and that be the thing, niggas just don't be wanting to be like, alright, damn, he looked, shit ain't go this way, but damn, he did. I got shows from that song. They'll tell you, you know what I mean? I got shows from that song. That made my stocks go up, you know what I mean? So like, he helped me in other ways, so I ain't, you know what I mean? Like, that shit ain't about nothing, like, it's gonna be greater shit later, trust me. We got unreleased music after that, after Really Shit You Ever Seen. We got a couple other tracks. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Since he been on, you know what I mean? So it's like, that shit ain't about nothing, bro. You know what I mean? You know, this shit is, you live and you learn, you know what I mean? Well, like, it was a great experience, you know what I mean? I just took it for that, you know what I mean? So, like, that shit ain't about nothing.
Then, like I said, Dreams and Nightmares on 2012, and you know, that album, I mean, because the intro, I mean, like, the album still, I mean, relevant today because the intro is relevant. That was the most classic intro probably in hip-hop history, you know what I mean? As far as on the album, like, I don't think nobody had a more classic or legendary intro. Nobody album intro still play 10 years later in a club, you know what I mean? So, Meek made history in 2012 in his first album. And it's crazy because he had got locked up right before his album release. I mean, cops was fucking with him. He said ain't really charging with nothing. They just locked him up. I mean, took pictures of him, posted it on Twitter and all that. Like, I mean, but he was able to get out of that situation. I mean, because they ain't charging with nothing. Just was like harassing, whatever. So now let's fast forward a little bit. I mean, to him starting the Dream Chasers movement, the Dream Chasers label, Dream Chasers team. I mean, early on, a lot of people, I mean, remember, but, you know, rarely mention, like, when Meek first got on, because a lot of people from Philly was having pressure on him to sign people and put niggas on and all of that. So early on, when he got signed 2011, let's say 2013, I mean, that's when he, you know, he seen with Lee Mays and Louis V. Gutter. I mean, they both from the city. Then eventually, you know, he got Lil Snoop, you know, from, I think Lil Snoop from New Orleans. I mean, so, you know, he had them a part of his team, running around with them. I mean, so a lot of people might have, I ain't gonna say a lot of people, some people might have criticized, like, him picking Lil Snoop because he's not from Philly, or picking Lee Mason and Louis V. Gutter over certain other people, but I mean, Meek picked them for his reasons. They said either way, they still from Philly. They was repping, so, and he was early in his career trying to put people on. I mean, well, you know, fast forward a little bit, you know, the situation with Louis V. Gutter happened in, you know, Atlanta, where, you know, he got robbed or whatever the case may be, and then, you know, after that, him and Meek's situation wasn't the same. You know, they eventually had a little rift. Louis V. Gutter was going at him, whatever case may be, but so he was no longer Dream Chasers. He separated from that. I ain't gotta get too much into that. The story that's well documented. I mean, back at that time, then we all know, you know, Lil Snoop eventually gets killed. I mean, so that was another little traumatizing situation for me. I mean, because I was his young boy as well as his artist, and Lil Snoop was talented. I mean, he had a lot of, videos online that got a good amount of views and all that. He had to battle with the Sean Jackson artist. I mean, I got a nice amount of views and all that. So, you know, it was crazy how he died over like Madden or a 2K game or something like that from somebody he knows. So that was just like a bad joint. Like, now I ain't really too sure what happened with the Lee Mason situation or whatever the case may be, but you know, that was the end of that. Like that way, as far as him having them artists and all of that. Like, you know, over time and years, he co-signing artists and, you know, working with different people and introducing different people to the industry. Like, but he wasn't necessarily like, I mean, like had a whole team and signing niggas like he did at that time. I mean. So let's fast forward a little bit to 2014, he ended up getting violated and sent back to jail for like 5 months. I mean, and then I think it was like for travel issues or dirty urine or something, like whatever the case may be. Like I said, the judge, you know, Janice Brinkley, like this was that situation, I mean, with her. So he had got violated, sent back to jail, and they gave him an additional 5 years probation. Now, mind you, and he court the case in 2007. I believe he got convicted 2008 and given 7 years probation. So he would have been getting ready to get off, I mean, in 2015 if he did 7 years from 2008. So he ended up getting 5 more years of probation. So that extended his term even longer. So that's how he gets caught up in the whole probation shit, just like a lot of other people, especially in Pennsylvania, get caught up in that probation shit. I mean, so over the course of, you know, a couple of the years early on in his career with MMG, like I said, it's 2014, he got signed in 2011, so this might have been like 2014 too. Like, it seemed like early on, like once he got on and got a little success, it seemed like he was beefing with, you know, a lot of different dudes from the city, a lot of different rappers from the city, damn near at the same time, damn near, or back to back. So at one point in time, y'all knew he had beefing with Gilly, you know, he's beefing with Cassidy, beefing with Neef, you know, Cicero, like, I mean, like, it seemed like damn near, it might have not all been at the same time, but it kind of seemed like it, you know what I mean? And it was all like for little small different reasons and shit. Like, niggas felt some type of way, misunderstandings, niggas had words, and some of them turned into diss records, I mean, back and forth, or, I mean, Meek no response. I think he did back and forth John with Cass. I don't think he went at Cicero, but Cicero threw some shots at him. I don't know if him and Gilly ever did no music back and forth, but they was talking shit back and forth. So it just like, it seemed like a little crazy at one point in time early on in Meek career as far as Philly, but eventually all that shit, you know what I mean, got squashed. It was all minor, small shit. Nothing ever happened behind none of that Philly beef with none of them guys, I mean. Now let's fast forward a little bit to the Drake shit. I mean, 2015. Now I ain't gonna touch on the Drake shit as much because that's pretty much well documented in all media platforms, well covered. You know what I mean? Like, so we ain't really gotta get too much into that. You know what I mean? But I do wanna touch on the ARAB side of it to a degree. You know what I mean? Like, I want to kind of touch on that part of it. Because, you know, once Meek mentioned, once Drake mentioned ARAB name, that put ARAB in it, I mean, without him, trying to be in it. I mean, just by him saying his name, that was a strategic move by Drake. And then, you know, Ab and them, his people, some of them kind of, spicing it up. Not Ab himself, but some of his homies like, yeah, Drake got the red carpet and Philly. I think Dark Lord, somebody said that in the blog. So then I led to Meek eventually saying, fuck ARAB. I think he was on stage or something like that at a concert. And ARAB daughter, somebody was there and heard him say that. So now that turned into that. Then, you know, certain things happened. Street-wise, we ain't gotta touch too much on that, but some of that stuff was well documented. You know, the Trendsetter shady shit, that's how he became, he got his first, introduction to the people from that situation. Him and Dean or whatever. And then the situation with Ab at the store, just like a couple things happened. So that shit, it didn't go as far as it could have went. I ain't gonna speak too much on on that because there's a lot of hearsay behind some of the stuff that happened. I don't know for sure because I wasn't there when none of this stuff happened. I didn't hear from none of these people miles of what happened, but I did hear some. I mean, some stuff went down behind that. I mean, some serious stuff went down. Like, I mean, but thank God nobody got killed or nothing like that behind it, as far as I know. I mean, I don't think nobody died or nothing behind that like that, but couple situations did pop off. Like, I mean, that was crazy because they was cool. Meek and Ed was cool. They had a nice little rapport. They did music together. I mean, Meek was on a couple of Ed tapes. You know, when Cass was going through with Meek, you know, Ed was pretty much siding with Meek. Like, I mean, stamping Meek in that joint. Like, even though he came up with Cass, like, he was fucking with Meek heavy. He felt like him associating with Meek, like, helped his career a lot, and he was able to help his homies with his notoriety, help them get some names. So, you know, they was thorough. So for them to go at it over something that they ain't necessarily had nothing to do with Eb initially, like, that was kind of crazy. Like, I mean, but thankfully they was able to, you know, squash it. I mean, he said they had a conversation over the phone at some point, like a 4-hour conversation, I believe Eb said they had. And, you know, they did the picture with Ab and O'Malley in the studio. You know, I think Puff was there, Tiffy was there. I mean, and they had squashed it at that time too. So,
alright, so moving forward, you was a part of an epic moment that took place here in Philly when Drake and Meek was here in Philly.
Yeah.
I mean, so speak a little bit on saying that after all, because you was around for when Meek was going
I was there.
So yeah, give him that rundown.
You know how I went, man. I mean, it was all odds against Meek. You know what I'm saying? They even had Ab and them going at him. They had my man, you know what I'm saying, put my name in raps and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was crazy at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Really some shit going on, you know what I'm saying, behind that dumbass shit. You know what I'm saying? All on some music shit. Meek wasn't, he done fell out with niggas, you know what I'm saying? Different artists because they chose sides. You know what I'm saying? Phone calls, niggas stop calling, you know what I'm saying? A little different shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was happy to see that they squashed it, you know what I'm saying? Because the year before that, we was running in that tunnel on it, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, niggas putting that pressure on it. You know what I'm saying? It was a moment of history, you know what I'm saying? Nobody else, you know what I'm saying, really couldn't be in that position, you know what I'm saying? But a nigga like me, Tot, you know what I'm saying, Melly, you know what I'm saying, P-Mine, like the guys, you know what I'm saying, that was there. You know what I'm saying? Why Meek was going through all that. You know what I'm saying?
it was good that they did squash it. I mean, like, and eventually they never ever got cool like how they was before. I mean, and that's the unfortunate part, because that would have been a nice little. I mean, like what Ed was able to do with the OBH movement after that, prior to him, I mean, getting locked up and all that. Like, but the notoriety and shit and the situations he was able to put himself in, you know, the association with Birdman and all that, and all the different rappers that was fucking with Ed. Like, if he'd have had that Meek relationship like how it was before, like, ain't no telling. I mean, if Ed would have ever been, I mean, in the situation he found himself in, I mean, as far as him getting locked up, who's to say? Like, I mean, but that was just crazy. Like, I mean, then fast forward a little bit, I mean, 2016, I believe it was, Garcia ended up signing with Meek, like on some co-sign type shit. You know, Garcia from Ape Gang, like, I mean, you know, him and Meek built their rapport, you know, from Batcave days when Meek used to report down the Batcave. You know, they always was thorough, I mean. And then at this time, Garcia was one of the ones out of that, I mean, that Batcave circle and out of the Ape Gang circle that maintained contact and maintained this rapport with Meek, and the relationship got stronger with Meek. So he used to be around Meek heavy, you know what I mean, still to this day. But at this time when he was around Meek heavy, Meek pretty much like, yo, bro, you might as well run with the DC stand. I did an interview with Garcia and he pretty much talked about that. Like, a little bit after that, I did an interview with him and he talked about how, you know, Meek pretty much told him to run with the DC stand.
As far as the situation now, you know, that come about with the whole DC affiliation thing being, is like, you know, that's my dog first and foremost. So we had a conversation just about, I was like, man, I'm really, we was in Onyx, matter of fact, we was in Onyx Strip Club. So we talk, and he like, man, I'm telling you, like, X such and such what I said about you. I be wanting you to go hard. He was like, he said, it seemed like every time you go hard, you stop. He was like, bro, all you got to do is go hard for a year. He was like, you around me all the time. Won't you start running with the DC stamp? So I said, say no more. He was like, man, just run with the shit, bro. I'm telling you, man, the shit gonna work for you, bro. He was like, you got the swag.
Damn, as we doing the interview, a nigga rap ass bigger than shit.
Yeah. He was like, you got the swag. He said, I feel like you got the look. You just don't go hard enough. So that like motivated me a little bit to really jump back in my bag because I understand what he's saying, but at the same time, you know, you got to think I'm a nigga that I'm still living life day by day. You know what I'm saying? Till music start paying my bills, I can't focus on music 100% at that time. So now he like, man, I'm telling you, he's making so much money, bro. He like, man, I might make 30,000. He like, bro, I remember one time I was with him. It was New Year's Eve. We went to we was in Atlanta. He went and picked up like 40 grand on the walkthrough. The same night he slid down Diddy party, picked up like another 30. The next day he went and beat Khaled for 90 grand. When he beat Khaled for 90 grand at the crib on basketball, I was there for that. And then we left there and the nigga went and picked up another 30 grand. Like, so now to me, I'm like, man, fuck it. I'm ready to take rap serious. Like, I need some of these checks. He like, yeah, just run with this shit, bro. I'ma back it. Whatever you need me to do, I'ma do it. And XYZ. I started running with the shit and I started feeling as though like I wasn't able to like make my money, you know what I'm saying, like cause you know I got real estate going on, so I wasn't able to like make my money doing the real estate shit and doing whatever else, and I felt as though I was slipping away from everything that was making me money on a day to day, and I stopped doing that. I stopped focused on the music just to get back to my money so I could go ahead and secure my situation. So, you know, that's how that really happened with the whole Meek situation.
So, I mean, that was another little situation for the city where the city looked like, word, I mean, like, now you got, I mean, because it went a period of time, you know, from when he stopped fucking with, you know, Louis V. Gutta and Lee Mays and all that. It was a period of time, I get, where he didn't have no artists like that from the city. Like, he would fuck with niggas and co-sign certain people and might do shit behind the scenes, but he ain't really have nobody a part of his team running with him and nothing like that. So he was getting, you know, a little criticized for that. So the Garcia shit kind of was a good look, and people was like, all right, that's a good joint. He stamped somebody from the city, got him running with him, but Garcia didn't really go hard with the music shit like that. He did for a period of time. He did his thing, don't get me wrong. But eventually he started transitioning more to like, I want to do, because it's something he talked about in the interview, like transition to more to do real estate, you know what I mean? And he did that. He did successful with that. I mean, and then he transitioned more to CEO status. Like, I mean, he got his own label these days and all that. Got Old Ass Rider and a couple other artists, but he's still with Meek to this day. Like, I mean, now let's get to this game beef. I mean, I believe this was 2016, if I ain't mistaken. So I don't know if this was after he signed Garcia or before he signed Garcia with the Garcia co-sign and all that. I don't know if it was before or after, but at some point, you know, the game shit happened, you know, but we ain't gonna really touching on game side too much, you know, touch on the bean side, because that's where the game shit come from. The bean shit come from Game, pretty much. I mean, the situation with Game, like, it was crazy how that was a crazy situation, because when Meek was going through it with Game, I forgot how the little shit started. I think it started over Game. I mean, you know, Game be clout chase and all that, so I don't know. Like, but he basically said Meek supposed to have told some people that, like, I think Sean Kingston got robbed, and Meek had said that Game holla at Game because his peoples be doing that or some dumb shit like that. I mean, so Game feels some type of way to Meek and start going, I mean, like, dumb ass shit like that, whatever it keeps me be. But long story short, that situation almost ended up being the best thing that happened to Philly, like, to a degree, because when that Game shit happened and Game started going at Meek, a lot of people from Philly, like, I mean, you know, that's when they did this, they was in the studio and they did the song, and O'Malley was on there, and then, you know, that's when Beans came to the studio and was, you know, he put his voice on there. He supposed to be helping O'Malley with his side, part and all that. And there was other people, so it seemed like a lot of people from Philly was like riding with Meek in that. Like, it looked like the city was gonna come together and ride against Game with me, because it felt like, I mean, like, you just picking, like, you making up some shit, you just trying to come at you thinking it's sweet, like, I mean, niggas like, no, fuck that, like, niggas was gonna ride, I mean, against the Game, I mean, like, so then the Bean shit happened because I guess, like, Game and them or Wack reached out to Beans and was asking him like, what I don't know if they asking like what he got to do with it or what's his association with it, and basically they was recording Beans and shit. And Beans basically was, you know, bad mouthing Meek to a degree. Know what I mean, like talking some negative stuff towards Meek and the situation or whatever the case may be. So obviously, if Game recorded it, that's how the conversation get leaked. And Meek hear it, and Meek peoples hear it, and Tiffy hear it. You know what I mean? We all know what happened with that. Like, because Tiffy explained that too, I think, in the interview. Like, he felt some type of way about that because, I don't know if he explained in the interview or if he told me in person, but I know he said he felt some type of way about that because he really was trying, he was the catalyst behind trying to put that shit together, put a movement together, and put the city together. And you know, that was his studio that happened. I mean, that they was doing the drawing that. I mean, so he really felt like Beans violated and backstabbed him and crossed him and cost him an opportunity to do something, I mean, for the city and all that. So that's why he really went that route with it. I mean, we all know that's public documented. And, you know, eventually they got cool, and that was that. I mean, but that was just a crazy little situation that happened with the Beans shit. I mean, Beans a legend. I mean, like, you know, they got the South Philly ties and all that. That's why Beans was saying the Breakfast Club is too close and all that. You got family that's related. I mean, that was just like a crazy John. I mean, yeah.
Prior to the shit with Beans, everybody already know because we was in here in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Everybody working. I was trying to, you know, formulate the city, bring everybody together and all that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I just was putting that work in, trying to uplift the culture, you know what I'm saying, of Philadelphia, you know what I'm saying? Because
so let's get to 2017, Meek through the Meek and Friends show in Philly, 2017. I mean, and it's crazy because I was supposed to be a part of that joint as far as like on the film side. You know, it was a major production for that joint and all that. One of my folks had reached out to me to put me on that joint, but he reached out through Facebook, so I ain't see it until after the fact. I mean, I was sick about that because I'd have loved to be, I mean, a part of that joint, but that shit was lit. That's the joint he brought P&B Rock out. I think P&B Rock, I mean, had broke his leg or his foot or something like that because he had came out with the cast on the little scooter joint and shit. So yeah, a lot of people come out of that joint was a nice little look. I mean, they come back to the city after he got signed, after he ran it up and did his numbers and did his weave, and you know, come back to the city and turned up one time. So that was a good joint. I mean, and fast forward a little bit later on that year, 2017, he ended up, I mean, catching that violation and shit for the dirt bike in New York. I mean, I think they were shooting music videos, something like that, and he had posted that he was riding a dirt bike in New York, and they had found that to be in violation, and Judge Denise Brinkley and all that, I mean, ended up violating him, and you know, that whole big story coming from there, you know, when Meek got locked up, and then they felt like he was unjustly sentenced to 2 to 4 years behind it. I mean, so that's when the whole Free Meek campaign came into play, you know what I mean, and all of that. And that's how my story intertwined with this as well on this type time. So at the time with the Free Meek shit and all that, a big person behind it and a big, I mean, people behind it pretty much like Daoud Bey and Tiffy Bey. I mean, but mainly Daoud Bey was quarterback and, you know, Tiffy was riding too. So at this time, I built a rapport and relationship with them. At this time, I had reached out to Daoud Bey. He had surfaced. He had did an interview with like hip hop since 1987, whatever the case may be. And I mean, I always heard about Daoud Bey since back in the day. And I mean, his name rang bells back in the day. So I had reached out to him to do an interview with him on my joint. He agreed. I mean, so we had linked up and did a joint and all that. And after that, man, him just got cool. He got built a nice little rapport and all that. He from the P. You know, I got my family and shit from the P. My dad's side and all that from the P. He ended up, I mean, I actually know my pop. He ended up being cool with my pop and all that. You know what my pop is. So, you know, we just got cool. So from there, I started doing more content with him. Like, we ended up doing like a day in the life type series where I just was following him around doing different shit. And some of the shit I was following him around doing, he was doing different shit on behalf of Meek, like setting up different things around the whole Free Meek campaign and all that. So when they was doing like the when Meek had got locked up, he had a turkey drive scheduled for like Thanksgiving time and all that. So Dao B and them still carried that shit out on his behalf, and I went down there with him and was documenting that. When they did the pep rally and shit like that downtown, when Rick Ross and them was there, like, I mean, I was there. So a lot of Meek family and shit was around and shit. I was around them, so I met like some of his family members, not as close family and all that, but like some of the, I mean, his extended family, and just not even meeting them, but being around them. Like they might have been in the room and around, like especially like the John downtown and all that when he was, you know what I mean, going to trial. And everybody was downtown, like outside the building. And I mean, before we was in the room about to go out, I was in the room with Dao B and them, and his family was there, and Rick Ross and them was in the room and all that. And we walked out, so I had documented some of that stuff. Like, I mean, it's a bunch of content with him and Tiffy at the time, so I was around him and Tiffy real heavy. So me and Tiffy ended up getting cool too, doing content with Tiffy, did an interview with Tiffy, you know what I mean, too, like at this time. So I pretty much, you know what I mean, was a heavy component in there as far as on the documentation side of what they was doing to try to, you know, get Meek free and raise awareness for what's going on with him. Like they had a lot to do with that, so I was around in the mix with them heavy. So shout out to OG Dao B, you know what I mean. So at the time, you know, he was locked up, Meek was locked up in Chester prison, you know what I mean, SCI Chester. He was in there with, you know, Eric Riddick, you know what I mean, who used to shout out when he got out and all that, and was trying to help him get out. He ended up helping him get out. And we did an interview with him. And my other man, I don't know why I can't think of his name off top. I'm so mad I can't think of my man's name off top. But he locked up right now too. I did an interview with him too. They both was locked up with Meek, and they kind of spoke on, you know, how it was with Meek when he was in SCI Chester at that time when he got sentenced to that 2 to 4.
One of the first things I seen when I went to your Instagram page recently, I seen that Meek Mill was following you.
Oh yeah, that's a good friend of mine, man. Meek Thorough Bull, man. Like, one thing I'm gonna tell you about Meek is everything he talking in his music, like he really living. Like, I got an opportunity to see it firsthand, like for real. Like him being in jail, going through his headaches, the judge doing the shit that she did to him. Like, that shit really bothered him. People don't know how much it bothered him. A lot of people look at Meek like he a millionaire, he rich, he was alright. No, he wasn't alright. He was in that joint, like, really thinking about his life and if he had to do 2 years or not. He was really, that shit was really on his mind every day.
First and foremost, for people that don't know, y'all was actually locked up together at this point.
Yeah, we was locked up together. I was doing my 5 to 10. I believe I had like 3 years in at the time. And then Meek came when he got the 2 to 4 year sentence. He came and he came on the same block as me. When he first came in, you know what I mean, we was introduced and, you know, we took it from there. You know what I mean? One of our old heads, free Eric Riddick. So free Eric Riddick, free my old head Eric Riddick, man. Innocent man. Down for some shit he really ain't do, man. And we try and get him home. I know y'all hear a lot about Meek talking about him through his campaigns and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? This is a good old head. He really, you know what I mean? He really, his wisdom that he, like, shined upon me and Meek in prison, that shit can never be taken for granted. That's why Meek still stay in touch with Eric Riddick. That's why he still stay in touch with me. Because we used to have real conversations in jail. It wasn't no bullshit conversations like you just talking about. Meek just running around talking about Rolex watches, you know what I'm saying, Givenchy shirts and shit. Like, he wasn't on that type time. He was in there talking about real shit. Talking about what it was to be a black man in America. These are the conversations we was having. So for those who don't really know Meek, just know the bull mind is really polished. Like, he ain't out here on no bullshit. You might hear him talk about a Richard Mille hair, a Rolex there, a Audemars hair, but that nigga on a whole new wave, man. Like, he really on some real shit. Like, besides the shit he talk about, if you sit down and have a conversation with him, you know that boy really love black people. He really love his people. He really love his kind. He want to see us prosper. You know what I'm saying? That's what conversations you gonna get out of Meek when you talk to him.
Yeah, Meek, man, that's my little brother. That's my brother now. You know, that's family. But and here's the thing: a lot of young guys over the years, right, that I passed the same information on that the old heads gave me that we were just talking about. I didn't do no different with him, right? It just so happened he has a bigger platform. right? To to show his appreciation. But even when I was giving him the things that I was giving him, I told him from the beginning that he don't owe me nothing. What I gave him, I said I was giving it to him, and he deserved it through birthright. This is his by birthright. You know what I mean? Just like the old heads when they gave it to me, he said, this is yours by birthright. You don't owe me nothing. It just so happens that he appreciated to the degree where though he went out there and advocated on my behalf. But even when we us playing ping pong and chess, he just said in an interview maybe like a couple weeks ago that I used to have him in his back table on a unit, and we used to play chess, right? But he told the person in the interview that we turned that table into the pyramids, right? An institution of learning. You know what I mean? We used to be playing chess, and that's what it appeared to people looking from the outside in, or ping pong. But he was learning in the midst of that. You know what I mean? And he came out, he kept his word. He extended his full resources, to the fight to liberate me. And I'm forever grateful for that.
And we all know the story for us him getting out, because that was legendary. April 2018. They come bring the helicopter out. He go from prison in the helicopter. They was able to get bail. Through all the controversy of them, the judge Janice Berkeley, putting the bro through all this stuff all the way from back then, bro. That's like carried from all the way to 2007 to all the way to 2018 when he got out of jail. Got bail, got out of jail, and went straight from the prison to the Sixers game. Kevin Hart and all of them. That's how he built the rapport with Robert Kraft and them billionaires. All through that, the situation he was going through. They banded together to help him, and then they reform and all that. We know the story as far as that, like him. With the reform stuff, and because of what he went through, he started helping other people. That was going through it. People that he met in prison when he was in there, and helping other people's stories he come across, they hear about. So all that came from that. So that was a crazy time. I'm going from jail to straight to the Sixers game, ringing the bell and all that. That was legendary. And fast forward a little bit, we already know what happened with the case. He ended up, I think, pleading guilty to one of the charges, and they ended up vacating his probation and all that. Or no, pardon me. The cops, they found out the dirty cops. They did some dirty stuff, or they lied and they found out about that. So he's able to get, I believe he's able to either get that thrown out, or he pleaded guilty to a lesser charge and was able to get the probation and all that removed, or whatever the case may be. I forget exactly how it went, but he ain't on papers and none of that shit no more. All that shit is over with now, but that was legendary how he went from jail to the Sixers game and all that. So now, fast forward a little bit, I think it was later in 2019, 2020, we had the little situation with Pound Side Pot. Had a little back and forth, or whatever the case may be, based on Meek saying, like, he trying to sign, some of them, but they going through their little beef and stuff, so he was trying to pretty much get some of the young boys in the city, that was going through it at the time. Some still going through it, but going through it with each other at that time to squash their beef. He was offering record deals, and he got some backlash behind that. Pound Side Pop felt like Meek was he was cool with them, and he from North and all of that, but he was supporting some of the people they had problems with their music, and Meek looking at it like, damn, like, all y'all young boys, I want to support all y'all, but y'all into it, and y'all making it hard to do business and all that. So long story short, they end up going back and forth, because Pound Side Pot asked him, is he Zoo or not? Man, is you Zoo gang or not? Like, you from us or not? And Meek pretty much said, no, I'm from South Philly, I ain't with no Zoo gang or none of that. So people felt some type of way about that, like, yo, he disowning North Philly now and all that. So yeah, went through a little, a little controversy with that. And it's crazy because he was actually associating, like, I don't know if he signed him, but he pretty much co-signed him and stamped him Diamond Street King. Like, he from North, and he actually cool with Pound Side Pop. So I know that was a little awkward situation for Meek and Pound Side to be going at it when, Diamond Street came down with Meek, and he actually cool with Pound Side too. So you know, that was a crazy little situation. But I don't know if they squashed it. And I mean, they had a talk with her because you know they got mutual folks and all that. So eventually it died down. That wasn't really nothing. Even though Pound Side did the Vlad TV interview and all that, talking about Meek banned from Nerf and all this, like, but you know, that all was small stuff that eventually, you know, died down shortly after, and it wasn't really heard of again, nothing like that, at least I don't know about. So fast forward 2022, he do the Meek, you know, last year he did the Meek Mill and Friends show. I mean, you know, I skipped some stuff, I clipped away a lot of stuff. I'm just, you know, like I said, just trying to cover the main stuff, like trying to make this episode 8 hours long, you know, like, even though it's already pretty long already, you know what I mean? But, so he did the Meek Mill and Friends show in, you know, 2022 in Philly. And, you know, him and Ross, you know, it was mentioned and rumored and in the media, you know, years prior, him and Ross had been having beef and stuff like that over a Meek contract. You know, he kind of separated from Ross at one point and went with Rock Nation. It was with Hov and all that. We already knew. I mean, it's well documented if you've been following Meek's career. You know, they said it was rumored they had a little situation at a club in Miami and somebody pulled the strap on Rick Ross. All this stuff. I mean, it's just been real rumored that they've been having beef. But, you know, at this show, they were saying, narrative was saying that him and Ross squashed their beef and Ross came out. You know, he performed, I mean, at Meek's show in 2022. So that was a legendary monumental moment because that was the 10-year anniversary of Dreams and Nightmares, I mean, of his album. And you know, that the legendary intro, I mean, so they were celebrating that last year, 2022. And you know, earlier, I don't want to say earlier this year, but you know, a couple months ago, not that long ago, he had went through it with, you know, the DJ drama shit. They had their little back and forth over, you know, like, and it's crazy how this situation with drama go. I'm gonna briefly touch on this because this ain't really nothing too crazy, but I'm just briefly give y'all a little bit of that. So when the Drake shit happened, I mean, it come to find out drama was in the middle of the Drake shit with Meek and them. So allegedly, what's coming out now in recent times is that, you know, Drake supposedly might have been messing with one of Drama girls or something like that, or hit one of Drama girls, or hit his girl or something, and Drama ain't, you know, according to a lot of people, like, Drama ain't with that shit. So he had leaked them reference tracks to Meek that Drake did. So Meek already felt some type of way about Drake because, you know, he ain't tweet his album, whatever case may be. So, you know, Drama kind of incited that by sending Meek that, and Meek went all the way in from there. I don't know if he sent him that before the tweets or he might have already sent it to him, but Drama had something to do with that. I mean, that Drake shit. So then fast forward, supposedly Drama supposed to feel some type of way to Meek, according to Meek, about a girl. I don't know if Meek bagged one of his chicks, hit one of his chicks, or like, but he supposedly feels some type of way towards Meek. So he said that in the interview that when they asked him about who more like Hov, Drake, or Meek, he pretty much was like Drake. I mean, Meek felt some type of way about that. And then in another joint, he kind of said, Lil Uzi, I Wanna Rock is the new Philly anthem over Dreams and Nightmares. So, you know, then, you know, from there, man, Meek, I mean, had their little back and forth shit, I mean, and that was crazy. Like, I mean, it was just a little crazy joint for them two to be who they is, I mean, at the level they at, and had the history they have, because, you know, like I said, DJ Drama hosted Meek Mill's Famous 3 mixtape, I mean, before Meek was on with Ross. Like, so that was just crazy for them two to be going at it, I mean. But a lot of people were siding with Meek in that situation. I mean, surprisingly, because they ain't side with him in a lot of other ones, but a lot of people was feeling Meek on this one. I mean, now, I mean, the narrative with Meek, like I've been talking about, I mean, mentioned a couple times, is he don't put nobody on from Philly, you know what I mean, all that there. Even though he did help a couple people, I mean, he co-signed multiple people, he did sign some people, I mean, he did a bunch of different things. I mean, he threw people up on this gram, he did a lot of shit, but a lot of people don't acknowledge him for it. Like, he did clothes drives, food drives, he gave shit to the schools. He did all types of charity and shit in Philly, but I mean, it's never been enough. So now, you know, prior to the last time he got locked up with the Janice Brinkley joint, you know, he was fucking with Couture. he was rolling with Tor. And then when he got locked up, that situation kind of, you know, went aside, obviously. But Tor ended up going from there and becoming one of the top artists in the city today. Like, he went rolling from that. I think he took some time off after that, or he wasn't under the radar as much, and then he just started booming from there. I started seeing booming. Now Tor, one of the top guys, like, but we was introduced to Tor from Meek. Most people didn't know about Tor until he was fucking with Meek. And fast forward a little bit, he ended up signing a deal with Core. Core signing Meek now, so Meek got, you know, one of the top Philly spitter. A lot of people saying, yeah, he wasn't signed with Philly spitter, he might be intimidated by, I mean, like, there's a whole lot of narratives, like, he won't sign nobody like this, and now he ended up signing Core, you know what I mean? So the deals he was trying to get to other niggas, you know what I mean, trying to look out for other niggas, he ended up putting a deal together for Core, and now he got Core with him right now, you know what I mean? Current time, 2023. So Meek had a whole, I mean, a love-hate relationship with Philly. Like, early on, like, it's just like how it go in the world. First they love you, then they hate you, then they love you again. They would, like Ho say, I mean, they build you up, to break you down, to build you up again type. So Meek just had a crazy, like, relationship with the city. But overall, the city loved Meek, man. If anything's ever happened to Meek, like, I mean, they go crazy, like earlier, I mean, like not that long ago, you know, Gilly's son got killed. I mean, R.I.P. the Cheese, like, and Meek was one of the people that was there with him. I mean, that came into his crib, supported him, showed him love. I mean, with Gilly, and I mean, then at the show when Gilly had the Gilly Fest, you know, Meek came out and held him down. I mean, so, you know, then the P&B Rock shit happened. I mean, almost a year ago now. I mean. So imagine some shit like that happening to Meek, like, I mean, like, God forbid, but the city would go crazy, like, so they might, I mean, dislike a lot of shit over the years, like some of the stuff he tweet, they be critical of, some of the shit some of the moves he made, the Drake shit, like, I mean, a lot of people might criticize a lot of shit that he done over the years in the city, you know what I mean, saying he didn't do enough for the city, this and the third, but overall, the city love Meek, bro. They be talking that shit online, but niggas love his music, drop music, still gonna fuck with it, niggas still fuck with him. He do shows, they still be popping in the city, like, I mean, so he get a lot of hate from the city, but overall, I mean, the city got love for Meek, you know what I mean, and Meek doing some legendary shit, bro, from where he came from, like, the reform shit, helping niggas come home, put niggas on, like, I mean, like, overall, bro, from where he started from, like, bro, a super legend. Like I said, his story well documented. He a big time celebrity. He might not be as big to us because he's from the city and a lot of people know him and shit, but outside the city, like, people look at Meek like, I mean, they honor him in the highest. Like, from him coming up in the battle scene, and him DVD rapper, to transition into making them songs and getting signed and making big records and having big features. And I mean, he had the Nicki Minaj was his chick, you know, at the time with the Drake shit and all that, and the Arab shit, you know what I mean? But yeah, Nicki Minaj, and he done hit plenty celebrity chicks, I would assume, like off camera, behind the scenes. Niggas don't know he probably done hit, because you know, there's rumors he hit Rihanna and all types of chicks. Like, I mean, I heard all types of rumors. He had Kim Kardashian, all type of shit. I don't know how true any of it is, but you know what I mean? He got one of the top chicks from Philly at one point, you know, Milan. Just say she got the Milano clothing line, you know, that's his BM, so she definitely was sturdy and wavy, you know what I mean, at her own right. So, you know, overall, man, Meek had a crazy run, bro. A lot of shit I might have forgot about, like, but Meek one of them people that started young, man. He was on DVDs since he was like 13, 14. So we watched him grow up in front of the camera, like, nappy breeze and all, cut his hair down, and he growing his hair back. I mean, like, so yeah, I ain't gotta touch on too much, like I said, where he at now, but as far as today's time, you know, in recent months and recent weeks, you know, he been going on a rants about the music industry and talking about his contract and shit that he dealing with. First, that he always been open and honest about that side of the game and music business, and trying to go independent, and him leaving Rock Nation and trying to do all his own shit in his own way. So, like, I mean, like, he trying to figure it out right now for his day. But I want to say major shout out to Meek, because he actually followed the page, and that's one of the few pages in Philly that he actually followed. He might go on certain page, you might look, but from actually following Philly page, actually follow our page. So he don't follow a lot of other pages. I actually check to see, like, damn, do he follow all the Philly pages? And he really don't. Like we like one of the few pages he follows. So, and he be showing love. He be liking a lot of shit. Nah, I mean, he comment on some shit. I mean, he be in a story, he be showing love. Like, so we ain't never get an interview, none of that yet. But hopefully one day, I mean, we get an official Meek interview and get him to address a lot of the shit that we want to hear that he never addressed in interviews. You know, when you do interviews, they barely ask him about his Philly come up. They might touch on it briefly and all of that. He talk about him in the industry, in his industry. So he never really done no interviews talking about his early days and his shots and all that. So this shit that, you know, people from the city and that's familiar with that era, this shit that they want to hear and they want to know. So Lord willing, one day, you know what I mean, I can get him to get that sit down interview and he can complete that puzzle from the DVD era, because I got mostly everybody's story already about it. So his is like the one missing piece that we don't have, like, and that would complete the story. Know what I mean? That would complete the story totally. So shout out to Meek. He always show love. Know what I mean? Got him on a couple of our joints. Know what I mean? And he always show love, and I didn't respect him for that. I mean, I don't got nothing bad to say about him. He never seemed to me like he never changed up. He never switched up since he got on, since he got lit, since he got rich. He might have changed up on certain people for his own reasons, but for the most part, how I seen him, he always show love. He always had a rapport with the people he always had rapport with. I mean, if he fell out with niggas, he fell out with them, but for the most part, he always been the same. And the encounter I had with him, and from what I hear when other people encounter him, he always been the same, always been love. Like, so salute to Meek. I mean, and we gonna conclude this episode. What happened to Meek Mill and where he is now. Like, I mean, this was a crazy story to tell. Like, long story, a lot of shit that could have been talked about, a lot of shit that could have been covered. I mean, so I mean, hopefully I did his story justice. You know what I mean? And from a Philly F.A.M.E TV and the Philly perspective, like, he got his own official documentaries out. I mean, I ain't even speak on the Amazon joint he did. I forgot to mention that he did an Amazon documentary where, you know, they was documenting his case and his trial, and I mean, in jail. I think it was called Free Meek. They had reached out to me, you know, about some Meek Mill footage, trying to license it. They sent me a bunch of videos and was asking me, like, they came across my page, like, I mean, maybe you own some of these or you know somebody that own them, like, you might can help us. So I basically charged them a fee, like, y'all, man, I'm gonna give y'all basically like a consultant fee. Like, I'll connect y'all to whoever the footage belonged to, and y'all gonna pay me for it. So they pretty much sent me a check for what I asked for. I mean, I ain't asked for nothing crazy. I mean, he sent me a little check. I mean, and I already knew all the niggas that did the footage, like, I mean, all the DVD. So I pretty much reached out all the camera niggas that I know that had Meek Mill footage. Like, yo, these people looking for Meek Mill footage, trying to license it for the documentary. I connect you, bro, try to get a bag. Like, and some of the niggas saying they weren't offering much money, so, you know, a lot of niggas probably didn't do it, but some of the niggas probably did do it, so I was able to make a little bit of money off of that joint. So shout out to Meek for that. I forgot to mention that. Like, shout out to Meek for that. I made a little couple dollars just on the strength that they felt my page and knew it seemed that I was from Philly and I had some Meek content. Like, I was able to make a couple dollars. So, I mean, shout out to Meek. And once again, bro always been solid from my eyes. I mean, and when they will appreciate Meek when he not, I mean, when he no longer here, God forbid. I mean, hopefully live a long life. But if Meek was get cut short, man, he'll get his just due then. But I mean, so that's gonna conclude this episode. Shout out to everybody that tapped in. Shout out to everybody that's been tapping in. I mean, stay tuned for future episodes, future content coming soon. Nah, man. In the meantime, between time, Philly F.A.M.E TV, we signing out.